Hey everyone, this is Tell the Truth Sports Radio. I'm your host, Ron Fitch. I'm going to tell you the truth about the heroes of the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl win. That was a good game. The first half, I like the defense. Both defenses played well. The 49ers had complete control of the game. Should have been up 17-3. McCaffrey fumble, Pacheco fumble, so that kind of evened itself out. But Greenlaw's injury was one of the biggest issues of the game for the 49ers because they were guarding Kelsey well. They were all over the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs were going to get a first down. So the 49ers get a bigger lead. That's a lot of pressure on the Chiefs. And now they gotta they gotta play catch up. And now they could really the 49ers front four was good because their interior was good. Armstead and Hargrave were great. And then because Bosa and Young were good, so they're all getting after Mahomes. But it had really abandoned the running game if they'd have went up 17-3. They ran it a little bit just to keep the Niners honest, but it was in arm's length. And the Niners they were moving the ball well. They were in complete control of the game. And there was a couple times they didn't put the game away. And you gave a champion a chance. As bad as they played, they ended up kicking a field goal. I was like, yeah, okay. If they get the ball back, that could be, and they actually move the ball. That could be interesting because they did move the ball that one time. They didn't were able to move the ball that much, but the Niners were still in control. And Shanahan could have used the timeouts and got the ball with a minute left to even go up 13-6 to end the half on a positive note. He didn't do that. The Chiefs get the ball back. I'm like, okay, they throw a pick. And the Niners are in prime position to move after a bad pass by Mahomes. Now, the Chiefs, I said, they're done. Because now I know the Niners are going to come and score and go up 17-6 after that pick, and the Niners in momentum, and they're finally they finally smell it, and they finally get the chance. Shanahan gets over the hump. The Niners are going to win the Super Bowl. They didn't move the ball an inch, and they had to punt the ball back. That was bad. And then the muffed punt, Draymond Cloud that bounced off his defender's leg, couldn't grab it. And the Chiefs were opportunistic, got it, and they scored right away. Boom, boom. Okay, touchdown. So that, but in my mind, the Chiefs are ready to make a run. In my mind, I liked how Purdy did move the ball for the Niners. And I said, he's going to answer this with a touchdown or a field goal or something. And it was one of his best drives of the day because that first touchdown was a trick play. That was a great play by Jennings, who could have been the MVP, great as he played. But this was a really mixture of runs and passes. Shanahan went for it when he was supposed to because you need that touchdown in instance. And I'm like, oh, okay, good. The Niners coming right back, and they get the touchdown that they need. Oh, man. They're going to go up 17-13, 11-22 left. Now the Chiefs have to go in the end zone, and they other than the short field, they haven't driven all game long for one of those big touchdown drives. So the 49ers are in full control. They just protect the end zone, and you're good, but they missed the extra point. I'm like, oh, shoot. Okay. And then the Niners stuffed. I mean, the Chiefs moved down for what normally would have been a touchdown, but they got stuffed. And they only had to settle for a field goal. The Niners, with 5:46 left, I said they got to take up this entire clock. They didn't. Purdy had an incomplete pass because Spagnola dialed up a blitz, where the cornerback blitz got to Purdy, and he was dialing the correct blitzes all game long. And the Chiefs get the ball back, and they're driving for what normally would have been a touchdown. But the Niners, they got a sack on Mahomes. They got after him. Now, let me see how many sacks they had on Mahomes here. Mahomes got sacked 3 times and pressured all game long. So it's going to overtime. And because of the Niners stopping the Chiefs, and it goes overtime. Okay, I think the Niners are going to still win this game. They get the ball. and they're driving. Okay, they'll score, and then they can stop the Chiefs. It'll be a 7-point game. The Niners just know they have to protect the end zone. Everything's going to be fine. Third down play, and Brock Purdy got pressured by Chris Jones, and Ayuk and Jennings were wide open for a touchdown. They couldn't get it to him because he got pressured, and they have to settle for a field goal. Oh boy! Now the Niners have had control of this whole game for 4.5 quarters. Now you've given Mahomes a chance, and it was some of Andy Reid's best play calls. The pass to Rice on third down. Uh, when it was 2nd and 13, Scanlon ran backwards. They give him another chance, 7-yard gain, which was huge. Made it 3rd and 6. Rice makes the play. Now they're stabilized. Now they're in San Francisco territory. They drove down the field with great plays. And Mahomes to Miko Hartman. I call him the fumbler after what happened in Buffalo. And the fumbler was the hero of the game. And they end up beating the Niners in the game. And I felt like I predicted it correctly. I said the Niners are going to play their game. They have more talent. They're going to show it. They're going to put a lot of pressure on Kansas City because Kansas City doesn't have a Tyreek Hill kind of guy. They could kind of get after him. And everything went according to plan, but mistakes here, penalties there, drawing them back where they couldn't run, illegal procedure penalties, Trent Williams committing 2 bad penalties, a Hall of Famer, Purdy missing a couple of passes. Purdy was good. He wasn't great, but he was good. He was beyond the game manager. I don't think I put game manager on. He made some good third down passes, 89.3, and Mahomes was 99.3, and he earned that rating because he was harassed. All 333 yards he earned. But what Mahomes does, and the Eagles and the 49ers really failed to realize, is he ran the ball. He ran for 66 yards, that 22-yard run, the 5-yard run on third down that forced kind of bulldozed his way for the first down. It's his will. And they were able to win the game. I'll go Kansas City first. Kansas City showed the heart of a champion. They won a Super Bowl. Last year it was a rebuilding year. They came right back and won, but they kind of deserved that one because the way it was back and forth, but Kansas City was a little better. The Niners were better for 4.5 quarters, but the Niners didn't have the killer instinct. They didn't put the Chiefs away, so it left the back door open, and the Chiefs just kind of, and the defense was good. They did McCaffrey had 80 yards rushing, but he didn't go bonkers. And then that overtime when they were tired, they still found a way to stop them. So that gave Mahomes a chance to be the hero, and he's going to be the hero. So I want to go Mahomes first, who earned an MVP, but it should have been co-MVP, and I'll get to their defense next. I got a co-MVP of 3 MVPs that would have won the Super Bowl. He did it because he made the plays. He on that 4th down, where if they get stopped, the game's over. He does a terrific play fake to Pacheco. He runs and makes the first down. He makes the 22-yard big run. He makes that 5-yard run he had to and bulldoze over the last yard to get that first down. He made the plays he had to in the end of the game to set up the field goal. He made the plays that you had to make to win the game. Didn't play his greatest game. He was harassed. He had to throw the ball away. The intentional grounding play was terrible, but that happens. And Kelsey made great big catches. So I got to give Mahomes a credit. And Hardman and Scanlon, who were much maligned, and even Watson had a nice play. Scanlon makes a touchdown. McKinnon made a big 8-yard play on third down that kept the drive alive. We didn't have to kick a long field goal, ran out the clock. So it was just a team effort, and Andy Reid does what he always does. And they did what they had to do when it wasn't any kind of Kansas. It was a kind of a 49er kind of pace where they beat you up. But now, Greenlaw's injury, the backup a couple of times had to guard Kelsey. Kelsey got open. That hurt. Greenlaw was dancing and prancing, and that might have been led to his injury. And the 49ers kind of came out of the tunnel looking a little overconfident, and that didn't help. But the missed extra point hurt. But the Chiefs' offense was good, but the Chiefs' defense was fantastic. The corners were good. My goodness. I mean, Chris Jones. Let's get through the MVP first. The MVP of the Super Bowl was Pat Mahomes, Chris Jones, and Spagnola. Those are the three because the blitzes, the timely blitzes that Spagnola dialed up to get the Chiefs off the field, and even though Chiefs weren't moving the ball the way they were supposed to, but they kept getting chance after chance after chance after chance because of the defense of the Chiefs. And you give that kind of team that hasn't done nothing a chance, a chance, a chance, a chance. Eventually, the champions are going to figure it out when it matters the most. And their defense was insanely good. Snead played. He only gave up, I think, 2 or 3 touchdowns the whole year. Played great cornerback. McDuffie with that big blitz that stopped him on 3rd down, that forced the field goal and gave him only a 3-point lead late. He was big. Herring was good. Karlaftis was the unsung hero of that defense. He was fantastic on the other end to go along Chris Jones. But Chris Jones made the play of the game, stopping Purdy from throwing that touchdown and putting all types of pressure on the Chiefs offense. Now it's a 3-point game. It gives Mahomes the option. We can go all the way down. Worst case scenario, we're going to get 3. Best case scenario, we get greedy and go for the win, which they did. Their defense was fantastic. And Spagnola, to me, beating the 07 Chiefs with the Giants, winning all these Super Bowls. The first Super Bowl, the defense was okay, and he was able to stop the Niners when he had to, forcing Hurts, making that turnover in the Super Bowl last year, doing what he had to do to stop up they didn't completely have the best defensive game, but they were young, doing what they had to do enough to win. And this year, having one of the best defenses in the league. And it gave them an opportunity to be more creative because those young kids had that experience last year. Now they have this year's experience, and they're still young, and they're still getting better. And Chris Jones being great, and Spags dialing up all the great defenses that he had. He's a clutch defensive coordinator. Andy Reid is a clutch offensive coordinator. Mahomes is a clutch, great, all-time great quarterback. Kelsey's probably going to go down as the best tight end to ever live. And the offensive line got beat up. In the 4th quarter, they held their ground against that front 4 and gave Mahomes enough time to be Mahomes. I got to give the offensive line credit because they were bad until late. Now, okay, Spagnola should be in the Hall of Fame. His resume is Hall of Fame worthy. I don't know how many assistants go in the Hall of Fame, but he should go in the Hall of Fame. For out of doubt. He was the MVP, Chris Jones the MVP, and Mahomes was the MVP. Now let's get to the 49ers. Shanahan, coached a good game. He made the overtime decision wasn't the best because he didn't know the overtime rules, but not having enough time to put together a possible drive at the end of the first half was bad. Maybe not running McCaffrey at times when you could have put the game away. He had a couple of mistakes, but it was a mistake on the fumble. McCaffrey fumbled, of all people, in the first half. So it was more to play Greenlaw getting hurt. And then Debo was never healthy. So he wasn't terrible. And Brock Purdy was good. He was above the game manager. He was, I'm not saying he's a game manager. He's a little above that. He wasn't great, but he wasn't terrible. He wasn't in game manager mode. He was good. But the Niners just can't get over the hump. And Shanahan, unfortunately, he should be getting more criticism for not winning the 28-3 lead with Atlanta. That's 10-point lead with the Niners. The 10-point lead this year, too, in both Super Bowls against the Chiefs, blowing the lead against the Rams, which you've owned in 2020, blowing that lead. This is bad. Now, last year, everybody got hurt. Okay, when the Eagles destroyed them, I got that. But they can say, oh, we'll be back. They really should have won the first Super Bowl. They partied after they lost, saying, no, we'll be back. You didn't get back a couple years later, but you didn't win. You got to get into a Super Bowl. You got to treat this, and Mahomes always says this, let's treat it like we not come back. They're so desperate and hungry. That's why they find a way to win. But the Niners, it's going to be tougher. Because if you think about it, they were lucky against Green Bay because of the missed kick. They would have lost. They were lucky against the Niners because Dan Campbell put on a show of stupidity. They were going to lose that game. So now they have the lead, and they got unlucky. Their luck ran out when their kicker missed an extra point. And they lived by being lucky. They died by being lucky. And now the problem is Green Bay's going to get better. I don't know about Dallas, but the Eagles will probably be retooled because they made some good coaching moves. Detroit, I don't know what that's a tough loss. As young as they are, that kind of loss, that'll haunt you. I don't know if they'll come back, but Seattle's getting better. The Rams are getting better. So now those teams aren't going to fear you anymore. They're like, okay, they're not the champions. They don't even know how to win it when it matters. So we could beat those guys. I just think you had about 4 or 5 cracks at it. And then the window of opportunity will just disappear after a while. I don't know about next year. It's hard. Look at the Eagles. They were on a roll. They say, okay, we'll get back to the Super Bowl. We lost. We'll get back to the Super Bowl. And the Eagles, it crumbled. So now, they want to come back strong. Can they get back? Can the Niners get back? The Cowboys had a bunch of chances. When does that turn? And another thing about the Niners, when does free agency hit? You can't pay Greenlaw and Werner and Bosa and Young and Hargrave and Armstead and Ward and Tafunga, who they missed. They were the best safeties in the football. They missed him when it mattered. And the offensive line and Trent Williams getting a little older, and Debo's never healthy anymore, and he's getting a little old. He's not old, but his body looks worn down because he's such a physical player. Kittles, can he stay healthy? You got to pay Ayuk. You got to pay Mitchell. You got to pay Jenkins, who was big in the Super Bowl, would have won the Super Bowl MVP if he'd able to make another touchdown. And McCaffrey's already taken care of. So that's the problem because everybody's going to get paid. You're super talented, both more talented than any team in the NFL the last couple of years and haven't won it. I don't know. I mean, is time up? Sometimes it'll end before you want it to end. And now you're in rebuild mode, and now you got to try to get back, and you're like, man, we should have won it 4 or 5 years ago. Look at Atlanta, 28-3 lead. And Dan Quinn said, we'll be back. He didn't come back. Atlanta is still, what is that, 5, 6 years? 6 years ago? 7 years ago. And it's been 7 years, and they haven't even sniffed it. Look at Seattle, 2-14. 10 years from now, it's 10 years ago, they still haven't recovered. If you don't watch it, it may take 10 years to recover from getting this. When you get smoked in the Super Bowl, okay, we'll come back. It's easier to come back after you get smoked because there's no emotion. But when you're there and the Super Bowl championship is in your hands and you could win it and you don't come right back from that. Like the Bills did after the Bills are an exception. They were a different kind of relentless. They didn't win, but man, 4 straight times after just getting blown a game and then getting blown out and blown out, blown out. They just kept coming. The 49ers have been there. It's just, you wonder if time's up because now next year you're behind. Maybe you don't have a Dan Campbell to help you out. Maybe Dan Campbell says, I'm gonna kick the field goal and go up 17 because I blew it last year. Or Green Bay, their kicker might kick an easy kick and go up multiple scores and put the game away because now they have a year under their belt, man. It just, you got to come back and start all over and hope you're healthy again. That's tough. But congrats to Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes is way up there. I don't have him over Montana yet. He's in the stall back range because he's still young and he's got 3 championships in 5 years. It's a great run. It's the best start of a career of pretty much any player other than Magic. Magic had a great start, but even Mahomes is debatable. And they're hungry. They're hungry. I mean, they're like, okay, we're happy we won, but man, we really would like to do something that nobody else done. That's three-peat. And they're just never satisfied. They never over celebrate. They'll do as many commercials as they can. They don't care about that. As soon as that training camp comes, as soon as the regular season comes, even if they struggle, they're just there. We go on the road, we go at home. Let's just get in the playoffs. And once that red light comes on, the spotlight comes on, we'll always perform. No matter who we have, who's healthy, who's not. We'll just figure out a way to win. And that is a mark of a great team. And the great teams like the Cowboys, the Niners, and I will say the Patriots, even though there were shenanigans that did help, but they were disciplined. There's two different ways to look at the Patriots. They had a great run, and they were very talented, and they kept winning, and they were disciplined. And then they were the shenanigans where they just did a lot of underhanded crap that I will always point out. But I will always point out their greatness, and I'm always going to point out the deflate gate and the spike. I'm always going to do it because it's Tell the Truth Sports Radio. So you get the truth. But you also want to give them their credit for what they did. But the Cowboys made that run 3 out of 4. The Niners, 5 championships in as many years as like what the Patriots did. From 81 to 96, they were really good. The Steelers, the Cowboys of the 70s, the Packers of the 60s. They're always every year, they always want to just get better and better and better. Okay, we won. Let's keep going. And that's what the Chiefs have. That's what I love about them. Andy Reid's one of the greatest coaches of all time. May go down as the best. But they just, in a year they weren't supposed to win. I picked against them, against the Bills. I thought the Bills were going to the Super Bowl against the Niners. I picked the Ravens against them because the Ravens were home, and I bought into that nonsense. Then I picked the Niners, which I felt like because the Niners went to hell and back after being down, they were due to have a good game where they're going to get ahead. They were, and they played Niner football, and the Chiefs still beat them at playing Niner football. Golly, I got so much respect for what Kansas City did.